Hello and a very warm welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Frank Rausen Pereira. Before we go to the headlines, we'd like to make an appeal to you. Rajya Sabha TV appeals to all its viewers to stay safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. Wear face masks, wash hands and face regularly, and ensure that you maintain physical distancing while stepping outside. Remember, these simple precautions are all that it takes to defeat the pandemic. And now, time for the headlines. 2+2 dialogue between defense and foreign ministers of India and the United States held in New Delhi. 5 crucial agreements, including BECA, signed. Further consensus on issues of mutual importance, including the Indo-Pacific region and defense. Dynastic corruption, a termite that has eaten away India's development gains, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi, asserts that direct benefit transfers have check scams in the country. Government schemes like Jan Dhan, Ayushman Bharat, PM Swanidhi, among others, helping India fight the COVID pandemic, says Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister interacts with beneficiaries of Swanidhi scheme in Uttar Pradesh, says street vendors play an important role in the Indian economy. For the first time in 11 weeks, active COVID-19 cases fall below 6.5 lakhs. Recovery rate goes up to 90.62%. And voting for the first phase of Bihar Assembly elections to take place tomorrow. Votes to be cast for 71 seats in 16 districts. Campaigning picks up for second and third phases. Our top focus on the bulletin this evening, well, amid tensions on the Ladakh border with China, the US said that it will stand with India in countering any threat to its sovereignty. At the 2+2 meeting of the defense and foreign ministers of both countries, they said that they will work together during and after the COVID pandemic. Both countries will also work together in distribution after the manufacture of COVID vaccines. Here's more. At the India-America 2+2 meeting in Delhi, the message to China was clear. On any issue concerning India's sovereignty, the US will offer unqualified support to India. On the tensions with China on the Ladakh border, both US Secretary of Defense Mark Esper and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo condemned killing of Indian soldiers by China in Galwan Valley. Calling China a threat to the Indo-Pacific region, both US ministers unequivocally blamed it for trying to create instability in the region.
The United States will stand with the people of India as they confront threats to their sovereignty and to their liberty. Our leaders and our citizens see with increasing clarity that the CCP is no friend to democracy, the rule of law, transparency, nor to freedom of navigation, the foundation of a free and open and prosperous Indo-Pacific.
Based on our shared values and common interests, we stand shoulder to shoulder in support of a free and open Indo-Pacific for all, particularly in light of increasing aggression and destabilizing activities by China.
Capacity building in defense was also a major issue discussed at the 2+2 meeting. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh invited American companies to use the automatic route to invest in the defense sector. He said the BECA agreement signed on Tuesday was important to meet Indian needs. Esper assured India of fulfilling all defense requirements. At the 3-hour-long 2+2 meeting of defense and foreign ministers, 5 major agreements were signed. They include BECA, or the Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement between the Ministries of Defense, MOU for technical cooperation in Earth observations, extending duration of the MOU concerning cooperation with the Global Center for Nuclear Energy Partnership, agreement for the electronic exchange of customs data between the postal operators, and letter of intent between the Central Council for Research in Ayurvedic Sciences and the Office of Cancer Complementary and Alternative Medicine of the USA.
We also explored probable capacity building and other joint cooperation activities in third countries, including our neighborhood and beyond. We have convergence of views on a number of such proposals and will take those forward.
A multipolar world must have a multipolar Asia as its basis. Discussions also covered developments in our neighboring countries. We made clear that cross-border terrorism is completely unacceptable.
This was the third 2+2 talks at the ministerial level between India and the United States. US Foreign and Defense Ministers also met Prime Minister Narendra Modi and conveyed the message of the US President Trump to him. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval was also present at their meeting with the Prime Minister.
The strategic understanding between India and US was never so good, and that is why just before the American presidential election, they sat together, talked, reviewed, and also charted a new roadmap. If the same government comes to power, it is okay. If another government comes to power, they will also follow the same trajectory. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television in Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asserted that over the years, India has moved ahead with zero-tolerance approach on corruption. He inaugurated the National Conference on Vigilance and Anti-Corruption via video conferencing on Tuesday. Addressing the event, he said that be it corruption, economic offences, drugs, money laundering or terrorism and other terror funding activities, these are all related to each other. Prime Minister Modi said that there is a need to have systemic checks, effective audits, capacity building and training against corruption.
करप्शन हो, इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंसेस हो, ड्रग्स का नेटवर्क हो, मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग हो या फिर टेररिज्म, टेरर फंडिंग हो, कई बार देखा गया है कि ये सब एक दूसरे से जुड़े होते हैं और इसलिए हमें करप्शन के खिलाफ सिस्टमेटिक चेक्स, इफेक्टिव ऑडिट्स और कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग एंड ट्रेनिंग, ये सारे काम मिलकर एक होलिस्टिक अप्रोच के साथ करना ही होगा. कुछ पल निकाल करके
The Prime Minister maintained that transparent, responsible, accountable administration is needed to develop India. The Prime Minister also said that corruption is like a dynastic termite that can make the country hollow. He added, now the poor is directly getting its 100% benefit through direct benefit transfer.
आत्मनिर्भर भारत के अभियान को हमारे यहाँ जो स्थितियां बनी हुई थी, उसमें गरीब को उसके हक का नहीं मिलता था. पहले की परिस्थितियां कुछ और थी, पर अब आप देख रहे हैं कि डीबीटी के माध्यम से गरीबों की मिलने वाला लाभ 100% गरीबों तक सीधे पहुंच रहा है, उनके बैंक खाते में पहुंच रहा है. अकेले डीबीटी की वजह से 1,70,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा गलत हाथों में जाने से बच रहे हैं.
PM Modi said that there should neither be pressure for the government nor should the government be found lacking. The theme of this year's conference is Satark Bharat, Samruddh Bharat. The 3-day conference is being organized by the Central Bureau of Investigation.
सरकार का इस बात पर बहुत ज्यादा जोर है कि न ही सरकार का दबाव हो और न ही सरकार का अभाव. सरकार की जहां जितनी जरूरत है उतनी ही होनी चाहिए. लोग सरकार का दबाव भी महसूस न करें और उन्हें सरकार का अभाव भी महसूस न हो.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with the beneficiaries of PM Swanidhi scheme in Uttar Pradesh via video conferencing. The scheme was launched in June this year to help street vendors hit by COVID-19 pandemic.
लेकिन आज बैंक खुद चल करके आ रहा है।
Addressing beneficiaries of the PM Swanidhi scheme in Uttar Pradesh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the government has acknowledged the honesty and hard work of street vendors by offering them loans that were inaccessible to the poor in the past. He said the scheme is a fitting reply to those who were skeptical about linking the poor with the banking system.
गरीब के नाम पर राजनीति करने वालों ने देश में ऐसा माहौल बना दिया था कि गरीब को लोन दे दिया तो पैसा लौटाएगा ही नहीं, ऐसा एक हवा बना दी थी। खुद गपले घोटाले और कमीशनखोरी करने वालों ने हमेशा बेईमानी का सारा ठिकरा गरीबों के ही सर फोड़ने की कोशिश की है। लेकिन मैंने पहले भी कहा है और आज फिर दोहराता हूं कि हमारे देश का गरीब ईमानदारी और आत्मसम्मान से कभी भी समझौता नहीं करता है।
The Prime Minister said that the poor are now linked to the banking system and loans given to street vendors who are repaying them in time. He attributed the efforts of the banks and bankers to the success of hassle-free loans.
हमारे रेहड़ी ठेले वाले साथी इसके लिए सरकार को धन्यवाद दे रहे हैं, मेरा आभार व्यक्त कर रहे हैं, लेकिन मैं इसका श्रेय सबसे पहले तो हमारे सभी बैंकों को, हमारे सभी बैंक कर्मियों की मेहनत को देता हूं। बैंक आज जिस तरह से आप तक खुद चल करके आ रहे हैं, ये एक दिन में संभव नहीं हुआ है। ये सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास की नीति का इतने सालों का प्रयासों का परिणाम है।
The Prime Minister interacted with 3 beneficiaries of the scheme from Agra, Varanasi and Lucknow and inquired about how it has helped them. He said they all presented an example that should be replicated by all.
लोग कह रहे भैया हमारी तरफ से भी बोल दिया, हमारे भी खाते में पैसे आ गए, हमने भी अपना कारोबार चालू कर लिया है। तो हमारी तरफ से धन्यवाद बोल दिएगा।
The PM Swanidhi scheme was launched on the 1st of June this year to help poor street vendors impacted by economic distress due to the COVID-19 pandemic in resuming livelihood activities. Around 25 lakh applications have been received, of which 12 lakh have been sanctioned. Prime Minister said almost 6.5 lakh applications have been received from UP, of which 3.75 lakh were sanctioned. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Tuesday was the last day for filing nominations for the upcoming biennial elections to 10 Rajya Sabha seats in Uttar Pradesh and 1 seat in Uttarakhand. 8 BJP candidates, including Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, BJP MPs Neeraj Shekhar, Arun Singh, Geeta Shakya, Hardwar Dubey, Brijlal BL Verma and Srimad Dwivedi filed their nomination papers. The 10 Rajya Sabha seats from UP will fall vacant on the 25th of November. From Uttarakhand, senior BJP leader Naresh Bansal filed his nomination. The scrutiny of nominations will be held on the 28th of October, while 2nd November is the last date for withdrawal of candidature. Polling, if needed, will be held on the 9th of November and results will be announced the same day. And in more election-related news, let's get you the latest from poll-bound Bihar. Well, elaborate polling arrangements have been made for the first phase of Bihar Assembly elections. 71 seats spread over 16 districts will vote in the first phase on the 28th of October. Polling will be held from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Out of 71 constituencies, 35 are in Naxal-affected areas where polling will be held in a staggered manner. Central Armed Police Forces have been deployed at all booths. Keeping in mind the COVID-19 situation, Election Commission has issued guidelines to be followed during the polling. Every person has been instructed to wear masks during election-related activities. Thermal screening of all persons will be carried out and sanitizers will be made available at all locations during polling. All polling booths have been sanitized. Only 1,000 voters will exercise their franchise at each booth instead of 1,500. Well, in Bihar, for the first phase of assembly elections, over 2.14 crore voters will decide the fate of 1,066 candidates. In all, 71 constituencies will go to polls in this phase on Wednesday. Political fortunes of 8 cabinet ministers, including Prem Kumar, Ram Narayan Mandal and Jaikumar Singh, will be decided in this phase. Former Chief Minister Jitin Ram Manjhi is contesting from Imamganj constituency as an NDA candidate. In NDA, the BJP is contesting 29 seats, JDU 35 and Hindustani Awam Morcha 6 assembly seats. The Vikashsheel Insan Party has fielded 1 candidate. In the Grand Alliance, RJD is contesting 42 seats, while the Congress has fielded candidates in 21 seats. The CPI-ML has 8 candidates in the fray. The Lok Janshakti Party is contesting from 41 seats, Jan Adhikar Party from 41 seats, RLSP from 40, while BSP has fielded candidates in 26 seats. Well, it's time now to get you the latest on the COVID-19 situation in the country. Tuesday is the second day where India reported its lowest number of new coronavirus infections. While the infections are nearing 80 lakh, more than 72 lakh patients have recovered.
For the second day in a row, India reported its lowest increase in new novel coronavirus infection. 36,470 new infections were reported in last 24 hours, the lowest number since 18th of July. Over 63,000 patients recovered in last 24 hours, while 488 patients died in the same period. The recovery rate has now gone up to 90.62%, with total recoveries crossing 72 lakhs. Active cases are 6.25 lakh, which is just 7.88% of total 79.46 lakh cases. So far, 1,19,502 people have lost their lives due to the pandemic. India recorded 615 deaths on an average last week compared to over 1,000 in the same period between September 23rd and September 29th.
Compared to the first 10 lakh recoveries, which took us 57 days, the latest 10 lakh recoveries have taken us only 13 days. डिक्लाइन इन केस फर्टिलिटी रेट, अगर हम मृत्यु दर को देखें तो इसमें भी लगातार गिरावट हो रही है. ये 1.77% था पहली सितंबर को और अब ये घटकर 1.50% हो गया है.
On Monday, India tested 9.58 lakh samples. So far, the country has tested 10.44 crore samples.
जिन सप्ताहों में ये गिरावट का ट्रेंड देखा गया है, उन सप्ताहों में जो हमारी औसत प्रतिदिन टेस्टिंग है उसमें गिरावट नहीं आई है. और अगर आप वो देखें तो पिछले 5 सप्ताह के औसत के आधार पर हम प्रतिदिन अभी भी औसतन 11 लाख टेस्ट करते हैं.
Kerala continues to report high number of cases. The southern state recorded 4,287 new COVID-19 cases in last 24 hours, followed by West Bengal, Maharashtra, Karnataka and New Delhi. Maharashtra, West Bengal, Delhi, Chhattisgarh and Karnataka reported the highest number of deaths in the same period. Even as India continues to report decline of COVID-19 cases, the government has yet again appealed to people to follow COVID-19 appropriate behavior and avoid any super spreader events to contain the disease. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the centre on Tuesday said that the current guideline for reopening various activities will continue till 30th November in areas outside containment zones. A Home Ministry order stated that this is the case on Tuesday. Earlier, the guidelines for reopening activities issued on the 30th of September were to be in force till 31st October. The guidelines allowed various activities like opening cinemas, theatres and multiplexes with up to 50% of seating capacity. The guidelines that state and UT governments were given flexibility to decide reopening of schools and coaching institutes in a graded manner and in consultation with the respective school and institutional management. The government also reiterated the need to follow COVID-appropriate behavior, including wearing of masks, washing hands, and maintaining safe distance. Well, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said that music and dance make our lives more fulfilling. Launching the virtual festival of Parampara Series 2020, National Festival of Music and Dance, Vice President Naidu said that music and dance can relive the anxiety caused by the pandemic and bring harmony into our lives. He said that India has a glorious tradition of music and dance since ancient times. He urged the artists and institutions to leverage technology to propagate and preserve tradition.
In addition to the two classical traditions of the Hindustani and Carnatic, there is a rich repertoire of folk music and dance traditions that has enriched India's literary heritage. However, beneath this plethora of diverse forms of dance, music and drama lies a central commonality that our civilizational philosophy and values like harmony, unity and solidarity. There is also a distinct focus on devotion, spirituality, and there is an entire gamut of expressions of 9 rasas that constitute human existence. Dear brothers and sisters, this is the message that the world needs right now. A harmony within the body and an ability to live harmoniously with everyone around us. There cannot be a better medium to deliver this message than through our great living traditions.
And the Vice President said that the pandemic has demonstrated to humankind the dangerous consequences of disrupting nature and its habitat. He called for ensuring environmental protection and sustainability at the core of every action of individuals, communities, organizations, and governments. He said that it is our duty to pass on a safer and greener planet to future generations. He also stressed on the need for including performing arts in the school curriculum.
Bharatiya culture and civilizational values have always highlighted the importance of harmonious coexistence with the nature and all living things. Since ancient times, our culture has accorded reverence to nature and nurtured environmental friendly practices. That's why I say nature, culture, together for better future. We are all living in a global village. We must have proper understanding of each other's aspirations, proper cooperation, proper appreciation, proper coordination between the countries of the world. The parampara must be sustained. It can happen through systematic incorporation of these elements in our education system. I strongly advocate.
Moving on to other news now, the 6th BRICS Parliamentary Forum was held virtually on Tuesday. The theme this year was BRICS Partnership in the Interest of the Global Stability, General Safety and Innovative Growth, Parliamentary Dimension. Speaking on the occasion, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla said that the BRICS countries need to intensify their collective fight against terrorism, which poses the biggest threat to humankind. He mentioned that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused the tragic death of millions of innocent people, severe economic challenges and disruption of everyday life. He added that BRICS countries have to ensure that the outbreak of the pandemic does not jeopardize the progress towards achievement of the Agenda 2030 of SDGs and that they remain committed to work together to achieve the goals of zero hunger, poverty eradication and an inclusive and just world.
वर्तमान संकट ने समाज के एक बड़े वर्ग के जीवन और उसकी आजीविका के लिए खतरा पैदा कर दिया है। संयुक्त राष्ट्र सतत विकास लक्ष्य रिपोर्ट 2020 के अनुसार इस वर्ष लगभग 71 मिलियन लोगों के भीषण गरीबी से त्रस्त होने की संभावना है। ऐसी निराशाजनक स्थिति में हमें यह सुनिश्चित करना है कि इस वैश्विक महामारी के कारण सतत विकास लक्ष्य एजेंडा 2030 को प्राप्त करने के मार्ग में कोई संकट पैदा न हो।
Well, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Rural Development met on Tuesday. Consideration of adoption of the 6th draft action taken reports on demands for grants 2019-20 and 2020-21 pertaining to Department of Rural Development and Department of Land Resources and Ministry of Panchayat Raj was on the agenda. The panel was briefed by the representatives of the Ministry of Rural Development on the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Urban Mission. Meanwhile, the Standing Committee on Home Affairs 2020-21 heard from the Ministry of Home Affairs on the subject atrocities and crime against women on Tuesday. The panel will also examine and report on issues like human trafficking in the country and rising crime in Delhi and NCR. Rajya Sabha member Anand Sharma has been appointed as the chairman of the committee. The Committee on Home Affairs deals with sensitive and important ministries, departments of home affairs, personnel, public grievances and pensions, development of the Northeast region. Well, October 27th every year is celebrated as the Infantry Day by the Indian Army. Infantry Day marks the landing of the first Indian troops in Jammu and Kashmir. The troops were airlifted from Delhi to Srinagar to push back Pakistan-supported intruders in 1947. Extending his best wishes on the occasion of Infantry Day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India is proud of the role played by infantry in protecting the nation and that their bravery continues to motivate millions. Well, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and Army Chief General Manoj Mukund Naravne paid tributes at the National War Memorial. Infantry Day is observed as a remembrance of the first military event of independent India, when the Indian Army repelled the first attack on Indian soil on October 27, 1947 in the Kashmir Valley. The victory was accomplished by the 1st Battalion of the Sikh Regiment. The Chinar Corps of the Indian Army celebrated the 74th Infantry Day at Badami Bagh Cantonment in Srinagar. The celebration began with a solemn wreath-laying ceremony by Lieutenant General B.S. Raju, General Officer commanding Chinar Corps. Officers of all ranks paid tributes to the fallen soldiers at War Memorial. Well, that's it on this newscast. But before we leave, Rajya Sabha TV would like to appeal to all its viewers to stay safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember to wear a face mask, wash your hands and face regularly, and maintain physical distancing while stepping outside. These simple precautions are all that it takes to defeat the pandemic.
Thank you.